So you're not feeling motivated. Maybe you once were and you're not anymore. Let's talk about the surge and the slump. This daily is for you. I'm so excited that you're here. If you're new here, my name's Jess. I've been a full-time entrepreneur for 4 years, and now I share mindset and goal-setting content to get you in a peak mental state every day, to be working on your mindset, to change your self-concept so that you can become the best version of yourself and live your dreams. So without further ado, let's get into it. And by the way, if you're new here, make sure you're subscribed if you want to see more podcast style videos like this. I also want to make a note about how to listen to these most effectively. This is not like a sit down video where, you could sit down and actually be taking notes and study it if you want. You can also have this playing in the background on your TV as you're cooking. You can have it play podcast style when you're driving, or play the video and go small screen and just listen to it like a podcast. Whatever way you're gonna learn best, right? For me, I know if I sat down to watch a video, I would get distracted. I actually have to speed my videos up so I can stay focused. That's what works for me. So figure out what works for you, so that not so you can do it perfectly, so you understand every single thing I'm saying, but so that you can do it consistently. Okay, so you can make this showing up part of your daily routine, 10 minutes a day. That's so doable. Fit it in the pockets, right? Because every result, every outward outcome stems from within, and it stems from your mindset and what you believe you're worthy of, how you see yourself. So when it comes to motivation, this concept is the surge and the slump. When you start something new, or maybe it's the start of a new month or whatever it is, you get a big surge of motivation, right? That's the dopamine from doing something new, because we love new things. We love things that are different, right? That are similar enough but different. Our minds and bodies love them, and we get that hit of that rush, that excitement. I can't wait to, get back into my fitness routine. I can't wait to build this business. And you have all these ideas, right? And you get so excited, and that's a surge of motivation. And then you're 30 minutes a day, why don't I do an hour a day? Why don't I do 2? And if you have these kind of perfectionist tendencies, not that you are a perfectionist, go back and listen to How Perfectionism Kills Progress if you haven't. But you have some kind of recovering or perfectionist tendencies. We go all or nothing. And in this surge of motivation, we're I'm gonna go crazy. And you actually overachieve, you overattain. You actually try to overachieve on your goals. You try to get more than perfect on your goals or your to-do list, what you set out to do. And the reality of it is that's not sustainable. And so what happens when you're in this, I'm gonna post every single day. I'm going to work out every single day. I'm going to, whatever it is. And you go really hard. That is not sustainable. And then the recovering perfectionist tendencies kick in, and you invariably, quote unquote, mess up. Or if you continually raise that standard because, good enough is not good enough, you keep raising the standard to a point where it's completely unrealistic, and then you fall short, right? Then we don't want to spiral into that negative action loop. You haven't listened to action loops, go listen to action loops, right? We don't want to spiral. So we have this surge, and then we have the slump. And that's what happens when you invariably miss a day. Give Archie, he's so cute. It doesn't go according to plan. You don't get it perfect. Maybe you still even showed up. Maybe you actually were consistent, but it wasn't perfect. And what this happens is we go into this slump where we've been burning the candle at both ends, way overworking, way overdoing it, right? Trying to set a standard that's not attainable, and then we lose motivation and we go into this slump. And if you don't understand the concept of the surge and the slump, if you don't understand that, of course, when you start something new, you're going to be excited. You're going to have all this motivation, and then motivation actually wears off. Motivation is not a consistent thing. And so many of you are searching. I need motivation. I need to get motivated, right? Motivation is what makes you start. Consistency, habits, self-image, those are the things that make you stick with it, right? So you don't need motivation to continue. You just need motivation to start. Then it's the other stuff. This is the work. This is what we're doing every day to help you be consistent, to help you continue showing up, right? You take the first step and then you keep going in motion. So this slump, if we understand that it is so natural when something's new, we get excited, we see the possibility, and sometimes you need that little push to take that first step, right? To get super motivated. And there's other videos and trainings to help you get that motivation. But then as we're taking action, we get, okay, this is not happening as fast as I thought it would. Or maybe the doubts kick in, or the lack of identity kicks in, right? So you start exercising consistently, but you don't see yourself as a fit person. So you're like, right? Why am I doing this? You miss a day, like, of course, you know, it always fails. Like I never stick with it. Here we are again. And we do not want to go into that negative action loop. So this is how we can change. This is how you can start to actually get consistent with the things that you want to get consistent on without doing it in a perfectionist or hustle culture-y way, because it doesn't have to be all or nothing. And if we're aiming for perfection, we will always fall short, right? If we're aiming for perfection, we will always fall short. So understanding this concept, I'll give you an example. These videos, right? I'm like, okay, I'm really excited. I want to start sharing mindset and goal setting content. And because I have gone through this, where I have these big crazy ideas, I get super motivated. I'm like, I'm going to start this thing. And I go up. I go all the way up the mountain, right? You're at that surge and you're taking action from the place of the surge. Amazing. And then I have the slump because either I'm not being consistent because I've bitten off more than I can chew. It's actually, I'm not seeing results, quote unquote, fast enough. So I lose motivation, right? That's all external. And as you're learning through this process, right? I've learned this and I understand the surge and the slump. So now when I'm trying to change something new, actually the best way to stick to a new habit or a new venture is to start with an action where you do not get a dopamine rush. The best way to start is to start with an action where you do not get a dopamine rush. Let's break that down. What does that mean? If you're, starting a social media page, starting a content creation business journey, whatever. You're like, I'm gonna post 3 TikToks a day. Do you feel that rush? You're like, yes, okay, I'm gonna do it. It's a challenge, right? And we get so excited. If I said, post 3 TikToks a week, right? That almost sounds boring. You're like, oh, that's it? Like 3 TikToks a week? It should sound so easy that you're not like fired up. It's not a challenge. You're like, okay, that's like actually super doable. Like, okay, 3 TikToks a week. When you do that consistently, you can build on those habits. Same thing when it comes to fitness. If you're gonna start working out, we're not starting with an hour a day, 5 days a week. No, because we have that surge and then you're gonna have the slump. And the slump, the bigger the surge, the bigger the slump. And if you slump too hard, that's when you go to the negative action loop, okay? I wish I had diagrams. If you're seeing my crazy waving hand gestures right now, you've got to picture it. If you're like, I'm gonna start with 30-minute walks 3 times a week, right? Again, you're like, there's no surge there. There's no like crazy, but you can actually be consistent with that. And then once you're doing that consistently, you can add on, okay, I'm gonna do that 4 days a week. Okay, I'm gonna make one of those a strength workout or one of those higher intensity. And then you slowly build up, right? So at no point are you having these big surge and crashes. We're building steadily. You ever heard the analogy of like how to kill a frog or how to eat a frog? This is a great analogy for behavior change because it's the opposite of how can we do it consistently. So if you want to boil a frog, right? So you're making a meal, you're cooking a frog. If you take a frog and put it into a pot of boiling water, it will realize it's boiling and jump out, and you will not be able to cook it that way. The way to boil a frog is to put it in a pot of cold water and slowly turn up the temperature, because it won't feel the incremental differences in temperature and it will boil to death. Now that's a kind of a gruesome analogy, but it's the same thing with the behavior change. We want to get out of these cycles of having tons of motivation and losing it, and get into the cycle of consistency, incremental 1 degree increases in temperature so you don't actually feel it and you can change your entire habits, your entire lifestyle. In summary, because we're almost at time here, we got like less than a minute left. Expect that when you're making a change, that slump is normal. Like right now, I don't have the same kind of excitement to show up and record these videos every single day that I did when I first started recording them, because it was new, it was exciting. I didn't know what was gonna happen, right? And now I'm like, okay, it's pretty consistent. And I felt myself like less motivated. But because the routine is realistic, because I'm not aiming for perfection, because I understand the concepts of the surge and the slump, right? I can know this is natural. This is the work, is to continue when you don't have the dopamine rush anymore. Does that make sense? It is natural to lose motivation. What is a realistic plan and routine so you can continue showing up as a habit, as part of your self-image, as opposed to because of the dopamine rush from motivation. That's time. Thank you for being here. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow. And of course, comment, subscribe, do the things. And if you're going to comment, leave a nice one.